Hey guys, Jake Brown here for rotocurve.com, and today I'm just going to be walking you through some of the smaller DFS sites, lobbies, and the functionalities of them. So just give me a moment. All right, to start, we're looking at Fantasy Feud. One thing I noticed when I first jumped on Fantasy Feud, and kind of the goal of this little video, is to just ease you of any intimidation you may feel when you sign up for a new site. It does make sense to be jumping on new sites and trying to grind deposit bonuses and looking for different edges and things that you enjoy. But for a lot of people, anything that's new can be intimidating, and none of these sites are laid out exactly the same. So I just want to walk you through and hopefully make you feel a little bit more comfortable. You'll first notice I just have this highlighted. These are the sports, obviously, that you can pick. And you can probably figure out what all of them mean, but I had to Google this one, and it's the National Lacrosse League. So if you're looking for that National Lacrosse League daily fantasy action, I believe Fantasy Feud may be your only opportunity to play it. But other than that, pretty standard. Most sites have the sports listed across, and it makes more sense to just search for the specific sport. Now, I don't believe they have NFL up as of yet. It's about 10-something in the morning on Tuesday. We'll switch over to MLB. And again, as you see, you can highlight multiple sports at once if that's your thing. Yeah, all right. Now they have a seasonal tab. I'm not quite sure. I have not played seasonal on Fantasy Feud, and it doesn't look like there's anything available for anyone to play. If you notice, they have some multi-day competitions, or listed under multi-day would be things like golf. And football, I guess, for what it's worth, if it's Sunday, Monday. And some match play coming up. You'll also notice this yellow shaded background. And when I first started, I actually believed that the yellow shaded background meant guaranteed. Actually just means that it's featured, so to speak. There are guaranteed contests that are not yellow. If you want to check that out, you just click on the guaranteed tab. Every prize pool now shown will be paying out the prize pool regardless of entrance. You can break that down further with guaranteed single entry versus guaranteed multi-entry, which I actually love. I don't believe you can really do this on any other site, and I think that's a not that there's a large amount of single entry tournaments on Fantasy Feud, but the idea of having checkboxes for single entry and multi-entry is something I wish other sites would incorporate. Most sites do have a next start option, so if you're looking at today and you're looking at when football comes up, but you want to play Thursday's slate, they don't have the option for you to select slate specifics on Fantasy Feud. Instead, you can just select next start and you'll see the Thursdays. But if you want to see Sunday stuff, there isn't a way to do that without also seeing Thursdays until Thursday locks. And over here, we have the different contest formats. We're all familiar with salary cap, Survivor, meaning that it'll be a multi-day competition with a cut line each day. And most of them, if it's a 3-day Survivor, will just pay out on the final day for anyone who reaches it. Longer and bigger Survivor tournaments may, in fact, pay you out a couple weeks into a long competition after they've eliminated a sizable portion of the field. Snake drafts are just going back and forth in drafting. It's something that's been available on a few sites. Draft Day, I know, had it. It's more traditional, like you're playing season long in terms of the draft style, but you're just playing a 1-day daily competition. And it doesn't, let's see. And if you want to look at Pro Pick'em, for instance, here, jump into a contest. That works a little bit like the CBS Sportsline game, where you're operating off of tiers. Here they're called groups, and you have different players available based on the group. They may be at the same position, they may not. That's a bit random. It does look like they have pitchers together, but quickly in group 2, you'll see they have outfielders with third basemen. So just a different style of play that isn't offered necessarily on every site. And that's pretty much how their little menu works. Again, Something that confused me to start was I believe that everything that wasn't yellow was not guaranteed, and that's not the case. Remember to use the guaranteed tab, as these are just featured. Also worth mentioning on this site, more of a strategy piece, but their GPPs are the only GPPs that aren't, I guess, following the current industry standard and are living in the past, so to speak. But it's a good thing, in my opinion. These GPPs, if you look at the prize pool, no, we don't want to translate English. Thank you, Google. And this might be a little confusing. All these three little things, yeah. It's paying out 25, and they're paying out 100. If you notice, normally this would pay out 35 standard in most spots, and min cash would be about $50 to $66 based on the 33 tag. So what they do is they actually pay out a considerably smaller amount of the prize pool. Sometimes, still upwards of 15%, in some cases less. But as a result, you always 2x your money. And in many cases, like in this one, if you min cash, you're 3xing your money. So it's in my opinion, it's a way to play GPPs more for the reason of playing GPPs, to try to win a decent amount of money off of finishing in the top of a prize pool. Nowadays, with top-heavy prize pools and other sites, you have to finish really high to 3x. So, min cashing for 3x at the expense of, 6 to 10% less people being paid a lesser min cash. That's a way to play that I actually enjoy. One other thing they have on Fantasy Feud, if you go to the resources tab and you want to get, today's salaries, you can pick your sport, or you sort by position, sort by team, and then you can export to CSV. Here's a baseball one for today, or you can just print it out. So that's how to utilize their little tools in resources. And the other things as well will just, research will just give you some links for Roto World and RotoWire and other sites you can use. But the today's salaries tab can be useful. We'll switch over reluctantly to Stars Draft in a minute. I say reluctantly because while I very much love this product, it's been 3 weeks of NFL, and they've yet to be up and running from 11 a.m. on Sunday through 2 p.m. on Sunday. So I just kind of have a little hesitation to push people to spend a lot of time preparing on here in case it is a bit of a learning curve for them as they bring in a new team and transitioning over from Victiv. But you'll see up here, again, like most other sites, they have selectable by sport. You can't select 2 sports at once. Not that I think that's a big deal. They use a sliding buy-in tab, which is great. The one thing that's true of all these buy-in tabs, and it always confuses me on FanDuel, is that you can't, if you've narrowed something down to one range, say $20, you can't slide it less. What I mean by that is when it's 20-20, you cannot turn it into 10-20. And you can't see me, but I'm clicking down, scrolling left, clicking down, scrolling left, clicking. No, can turn it into 20-50 though. Click down, scroll it right. So just if you're ever really frustrated and you have seconds to spare and you're trying to find a contest, don't let that be a frustration. Messed with me for a few seconds once, figured it out. But the fact is, to move anything to the left, there has to be a range. It can't just be sitting on one price like 50. Again, can't be moved. Oh, maybe it can, and I'm an idiot. Oh, well, this is a new one because 50 can be moved down to 20, but 20 cannot be moved down to 10. No idea what that means. Definitely threw me for a loop right there, as I haven't seen anything move to the left. But again, standard price range slider. On the right here, you have size. They actually have 2, 6, 10, 20, 21. I know you can read, but this is still kind of strange to have exact numbers like 6 and 10 and 20 and not have ranges. But again, if your product is only really having things that are of those sizes, come on, respond. And I guess you can go ahead and do it like that. On this top tab, actually, they have, again, all of the different tournament types. You have satellites, heads up, couple up, standard, guaranteed. To me, this is kind of an inefficient way to do it. Can't be looking for guaranteed double ups. Can't be looking for, guaranteed quote unquote standards. You can do one at a time. Not really a huge fan of the design, with it being, you know, light black on dark black on gray. The red does pop, I have to give them that, but you know, nothing really super special about the site tools in any way. One thing that I do really love about this site that some other ones don't allow you to do is actually sort almost everything. Each drop-down menu, you can sort it by time this way rather than using the next available. You know, while some sites do also have the ability to select slates individually, this pretty much does that for you and lets you sort the top, you know, either the slate that's coming up next to the top or the other. You can sort by payouts as well. So you can look at the prize pools, which have the most guaranteed money coming out. If you just click on, you know, guaranteed, all, payouts, boom, there you go. These are the biggest, you know, guarantees of the week. You can sort by your buy-in here. So if you want to select a range and then, you know, sort which way you look at that range, you can do that. Size again, and sort by size. And there you go. So yeah, they have 3-person tournaments, but only the ability to search by 2, 6, 10, 21. So again, if you're listening, Stars Draft guys, a little bit of inefficiency here. Hopefully you can make that a little bit better, along with allowing you to search for guaranteed double ups or non-guaranteed double ups and use guaranteed as a filter alongside these others. And again, you can sort by entries as well. If you want to know any information about the tournaments you're entering, like most sites, you can just click on them. Here on the right, they use G for guaranteed. You'll also see MU for multi-entry, or sorry, M for multi-entry. The U down here is multi-entry unique lineups, which is a format only utilized by Stars Draft, which is kind of neat. It's basically a train blocker. If you want to enter a tournament 10 times, you must create 10 different lineups. It also stops the ability to kind of one-click enter 10. So if you see overlay in a format like this, I know Victiv had a stance against scripting, so I would assume, and that's not a good thing to do, but for now that's what we're doing, that scripting isn't allowed. As a result, if you see one of these contests overlaying closer to lock, it's pretty much a guaranteed 2 overlay, as there is no way to jam lineups in at the last second or sit on a bunch that you had in other contests and just click on a button unless they're unique. And then, yeah, the M is just multi-entry. So if you want to find out how that multi-entry plays out, you can click and you can see here they have the tab. Now this one is the unique multi-entry. So you see the ellipses, it's just infinite. Let's get another one here. 21 plus, there we go. And takes a second. Try to be patient. Yeah, right. So here, multi-entry 200. That's another story. It's not ideal for me, but your multi-entry 75 and so forth. Guaranteed. So you see the letters up here. You can look at the entries that people have. Something nice they do. Here we go. We'll try to find one with a multi-enter. Is that they give you the parentheses of the people in the competitions. So unlike, let's see, unlike Fantasy Aces, unlike FanDuel, figuring out if some people are taking advantage of multi-entry limits being higher than you feel comfortable with, this is how you do that. You can basically just see the parentheses next to the name, and that's how many entries they have. So not even having to hover, it's probably the most transparent out there. See the payouts as well. Again, they have an interesting loyalty program where the points you get, or you know, your FPPs on FanDuel, or you know, your DraftKings fantasy points, or whatever those things are called. I think that's what they're called, FPPs. It's stupid. It's fantasy cash. It's menial amounts of pennies that drop into your account over the period of time. But on Stars Draft, what they give you is a higher rate of earning them the more you play. So if you were to enter a competition worth 100 and you were a high stakes player, you would get 3 times the reward cash for that. Interesting idea. They do weekly free rolls based on these. So I think they're, you know, maybe 50, 200, 500 bucks, or I believe that's wrong, but it's something along those lines. And I believe it's every week. So, you know, getting up is nice to get into a little bit of a free roll situation weekly. And then their importing system, if you create a lineup here, should have done that ahead of time, but it's very simple. say green button that you click at the bottom, much like these draft buttons that just turns blue. It's a blue button. Click import. It imports it right there. It doesn't take you to a new screen where you have to submit. You can just enter your lineup straight into it from here. You can also do that here, but if you want to do it here, you can see if you have, more than one lineup, they'll all show up across your screen, and you can pick which one you want. So again, some good tools, some things that I'm less thrilled about up here, and some really, really cool tools in here, and a little cool descriptive box that drops down as well that I like. And unlike, I guess I should mention it as well, is the scoring categories are also part of this, which makes it easier to sweat if you're forgetting. And also, if you don't know, now you know before you're entering. We'll move over to Fantasy Aces now. Now, Fantasy Aces was the most intimidating for me when I first jumped on to look at, because all you see is the sports. You see private and say, hey, what the hell is that? You see public, you see the next game, but you actually have to open up the filters yourself. I mean, obviously, but the first time you're on any new site, you may not know what to do. So again, here's how you sort by players, and rather than just having arbitrary 3s and 6s, they have ranges. You can sort by fee ranges rather than being able to hone in on an exact number. So again, if you select, let's say 10 to 25, you're going to have, again, 10s, 20s, and 22s interspersed. You can click the header to sort by price, which is great and all, and it does work, but it only works below yellow, which is the yellow backgrounded contest, which again are the featured contests. Or, sorry, in this case, they're the qualifiers. You see the payouts or tickets. But again, you can select multiple ranges, but some, small annoyance in that you can't just kind of range all of these things. They reset right here with the yellow background. You can, however, search by payout, which is unique. No other sites really offer to let you know, oh, here's a contest that pays out the top 2 people versus the top 3 versus winner take all. So those things, and combinations of the two. So if you're searching for high risk or low risk situations, you can actually use the lobby to do that a lot easier than on other sites. They include 50-50s with double ups, which isn't the biggest of deals as long as you understand the differences that I've mentioned in previous spots. Qualifiers, and Fantasy Aces does have live finals. Their survivor format is like I described before. It's usually 3 days or so, and you get paid if you make it to the final day. So again, these are the tools that they have. If we're looking at, and Salary Pro, sorry, is a format with a flexible cap where you can go over the salary cap and it costs you fantasy points, or you can go under the salary cap and you are given a bonus fantasy point allotment to start. So what going over would look like would be having, minus 2.4 fantasy points to start and a couple more studs in your lineup. So if we're looking at, this contest for today, we can analyze the actual contest by clicking on it. Pops up as a pop-up, so to speak. You have your scoring system like we just saw. You have the games in play. You have the payouts, though you do have to scroll. Up here, you have your multi-entry limit. Looks like it's about 8 for a field of 50. As much as I love Fantasy Aces, I really, really wish they would, put their foot down on these multi-entry limits. They're such a beautiful, small little site that allowing people to really buy the percentage of their pools, their entry pools, is absurd. And it isn't so soft for newer players, and a lot of kind of sharkier players or players with dreams of going to live finals who can't quite qualify on top tier sites are coming here and just loading down like 20 to, I think it's 20 to 25, whatever the max is for these 109 qualifiers most days. and that's like 10+%. So, you know, when they've all bought their tickets, that's when I would consider qualifying. But on the right, you know, you can see the players listed. Let me try to find you a better example. You might not be able to based on the time of day. Let's see, bear with me here. Size, no, it doesn't look like it. Unless they have a football one up. Yeah, here we go. Look at the qualifier, the 109.5. So here, as you can see on the right, you have someone who's entered more than one time. There's no way of knowing how many times they've entered other than counting. One of the unfortunate things about Fantasy Aces is, as you see, you can only see 6 names displayed at once. So it's nice that you see, you know, Mr. Danny right here. You can use him as a barometer to know that, all right, you have this guy above him, and they each have 1 entry. But when you do this, you know Danny's under there. You know he's here. 3. If this guy was this entry, and was this entry, and was this entry, so had 6, you would need the guy after him basically to not be in a similar situation and just have a bunch of 1s on each side to then be able to scroll to each side and count. The problem is when people have a lot of entries, which won't be the case quite yet in the day, it's really, really hard to figure out exactly how many they have. I mean, one thing I actually ended up doing was just highlighting when it was like an 18 or 20 and just highlighting it and copying it and pasting it into an email and physically counting. But it's one of them, not as difficult as FanDuel, but on all these smaller sites, it's the most difficult to determine how many entries your opponents have in a prize pool. Again, the multi-entry number is here. If you want to find that number out, it's also, again, it's right over here. And you can sort all of the headers, which again is something I really, really like. And it may take time. Now, one thing that Fantasy Aces really stumbled with when they started was lineup processing and exporting and importing of lineups. And it's something that they've really, really fixed. They have a whole lineup center. I may need to sign in. Is that going to be the case? Yeah, I'll do that for you guys. Or not. Well, we'll do that another time because it doesn't look like the site's moving at top speed, nor does it look like I can log in or log out. I won't waste any more of your time. Move on to a site that a lot of people like to give a lot of crap, including myself, but that kind of ended, say, 10 months ago. It rolled out with a very shaky product last year, this being Fantasy Draft. And I honestly have done a complete about face and believe that this is the best functioning second-tier site. And again, second-tier meaning smaller, not less quality, but the best one this season so far. I've had no problems with it. It's had good overlay. It's one of the easiest to understand. So there was an interview that I believe Raph did with Ricky Sanders, who's part of the Fantasy Draft team, and let on that they did make some changes in their development team and their technological side of things. So those things seem to be paying off. And just want you to know that if you're hearing negative things or snarky jokes from people who have been in the industry for a while, that's almost all centered on a last year. Some miscues they took in starting up last year. But they certainly aren't making those same egregious mistakes this year. And as I've alluded to, I find them to be the most functional on Sundays through 3 weeks of all these smaller sites. Again, you can sort by sport up here. Multiple sports at a time. Sort by game type. Multiple game types at a time. They do one step further on most of these other sites. They have advanced filters. So again, it's not anything different. It's just kind of the way they've set it up. I do actually like this for newer players to have kind of a sliding out menu so that they can get comfortable rather than having too much to look at right away. Not a sliding scale, however, for entry fees. You have to select ranges, which you can then sort by entry fee. Contest sizes as well. Ranges not able to be quite customized. But one of the things that they do have, it's really neat, is the contest start times of next and today, followed by single entry only as an option, and the option, like on FanDuel, to include user created contests. So if you're searching for, if people may possibly have this unchecked, by having it checked, you open yourself up to some contest that other people may not be seeing on their screen. And again, I think this button should exist on every single site, but being able to quickly sort the single entry, the true skill game in daily fantasy, is a really big plus. Again, fully customizable, or fully functional and interactive up here, and that you can sort by entry fees, sort by prize pool, sort by entries, sort by next cut. And again, by the way, those 4 sorts, no other site did 2 as quick. So another huge tout out to, yeah, that was not, I guess that's a Freudian slip, and we'll call that a tout out, not a shout out. So huge tout out to Fantasy Draft for really stepping up their product this year. I do really enjoy it. One of the other things I'll talk about for their NFL product right now is if we go to their guaranteed contests. And we sort by prize pool to see the larger contests. You'll see that they've basically running a run and gun, a shotgun as a Sunday, Monday contest each week so far, and a $20 and a $10 double up. And the ranges they've decided to use actually make it really easy to figure out how much money is in the prize pool, how much money is being overlaid in the prize pool. The prize pool for their big $25 tournament is $250,000, which, as you know, simple math, when that hits 10,000 entries, there's no more overlay. But every dollar is $25. Every 10 entries under 10,000 is $250. It's such easy math to figure out just how overlaid these prize pools are. And I would urge you to get involved week 4, as I believe week 1, we were looking at this thing being, I think week 1 and week 2, less than half full. So you were looking at basically with 2,780 needed to cash and a half full being about 5,500. You're looking at basically a 50-50, not even a double up for week 1 with the GPP payout structure, which was absurd. Week 2, it was slightly worse with it being more like a double up. And this past week, it was even worse than that, but still, tens of thousands of dollars overlaying for now. So jump in and check it out. And that's, again, 10,000 times 25, 250,000, pretty easy math. Do the same thing here with these double ups. They don't do the same thing here with these double ups. They do them with these double ups. Down here, they're messing around, which is great. They've added a new double up this week, it looks like. So they have both a 20 and a 10, as well as the 5 that I've been playing each week. These double ups where the top 2,000 win, easy. 2,000 out of 4,000 would be a 50-50. So if it overlays to that point, you're basically getting double up money for a 50-50, and that's when I always look to play double ups. That's been the case every single week. So again, make sure to check that out. And let's also click it once so you can see what the pop-up screen looks like. Your prize pools are over here. And unlike some of the other sites that we just looked at, all 4 categories don't jump out at you. You have to go through them individually. Entrance, scoring, and other rules. I have to apologize. I did think that Fantasy Aces was the only one to not really make it easy on you figuring out how many users had entered. It looks like that's the case for Fantasy Draft. I believe once you've entered, you can then look, and it is easier to figure out. But no, it's not a big help to have to look at and say, okay, this guy Howman's got a ton of entries. How many are there? Now, the one thing that I will mention that makes it very easy is that Fantasy Draft is doing the most appropriate thing with entry limits in the entire industry, in my opinion, in that almost every single one of these big contests, you can only enter 20 times. You hover over the multi-entry, you can enter this one 20 times. You can enter this one 20 times. You can enter this one 20 times. So oftentimes in the past, when I've had the discussion about multi-entry, people say, oh, what's the arbitrary number you'd like it at? Why can't we have 200 or 100? Because that's a lot. and it always sounds dumb when I say that, but 10 to 20, no matter the size of the contest, keeps this a skill game. and very happy that Fantasy Draft has taken this route. So yeah, I mean, I was definitely a huge critic of them. Their lobby is very simple to use, and better than that, they're fully functional and overlaying. So definitely take a chance. Get over to Fantasy Aces, get your deposit. Or sorry, get over there too, but get over to Fantasy Draft. Use your RotoCurve link, get your deposit bonus. They sponsor some of the work we do, and just give it a shot. It's a really good site right now. And finally, we'll finish up with DraftPot. DraftPot, which, as you see, has Laugh Out Loud as a sport, as well as NASCAR and golf. They're preparing for college basketball, so they have a wide array of selections. We'll go to NFL for now, but as you see on the top, it's the sports tab, and that's it. Everything else is located on the left. What's a little annoying for me is I've been fooled in the past into clicking on these, thinking these are the sorts. Now, you know, these Columbia educated grads are not dumb, and they have clear as day put key right here so that we know that this is not to be selected. This is merely a key, but if you select it, it'll pop up telling you what each one is. Down here is actually the sorting tools. You can sort by entry range, and not that it matters, but I like the idea of being able to sort to the nearest dollar if you want. Again, like I guess it's just a functional slider thing that everyone who's been on the internet more than me would be able to know already is in place, that you can't go from left when they're centered, but you have to go to right. But you can, again, sort by a variety of categories. You can sort by the entry fee itself. So as you see, it's a little bit unique in that there aren't the way this lobby is presented in this format is unique. It's not just a grid for you to select from. So as a result, you're reading left to right, top to bottom when you're sorting. You can sort by contest name if you want. I guess that seems like a strange one, but entries, prizes, start time. Then down here, you have further selections to be made. You have fan mode versus GM mode, or you can select them both. Fan mode being the uncapped version of play, where you can just select a roster of who you think is going to come up with the most fantasy points. GM mode with a salary cap, but that salary cap is based on fantasy points per game, which is a unique take. Search for guaranteed contest, search for double ups, free rolls, head to heads, and as you see, you can select multiple ones, you can select single ones. You'll see this little note at the top. There aren't any NFL contests available as they're calculating the points per game after last night. It looks like there is not too much available for me to show you right now. But again, one of the interesting things about this site, you're talking about 8% rake on cash games as opposed to 10%, and you're talking about an 8% deposit bonus drip as opposed to a 4%. So what that effectively means is that for contests without overlay, and guess what, there's obviously been overlay, for those contests, you're not paying any rake. Let me say that again. If you're paying 8% rake and you're being paid 8% back of your entry fees as your deposit bonus, up to $1,500, you're not paying rake. So check it out if you like those reasons. And I apologize, it was a little disjointed this morning, but I expected a little bit different looks and a little bit quicker updating from some of these sites in terms of loading up NFL contests for Free Money Tuesday, so to speak. And if you click on the information button on any of these, it will basically tell you which in this key on the left, which apply, whether it's guaranteed or not, whether it's fan mode or GN mode, whether it's multi-entry or single entry. So it's a nice reminder every time you jump on. Scoring points are here. And again, I'm trying to find one. We'll sort by entries. Let's see. Two. It's not going to work out for us, is it? Nah, but if Mr. Gamer Boy had 2 entries, it would have parentheses x2. I really like. Again, most of these lobby differences are stylistic and it's preference based. I happen to like the idea of doing these little drop down, drop up menus. It's a preference of mine. I actually really love that it's white on light gray as coloring because you see every single color, and after playing for a couple weeks, you can associate those colors with what they mean, and it makes things a lot quicker. They have a pretty responsive chat in the bottom as well, which of course I click and it disappears. But yeah, just I wanted to run through these. You know, might be a useless video for 98% of you, but for the other 2% that have never jumped on these sites, at least you get a chance to see what you're getting yourself into. In a couple moments, I'm going to be doing one for FanDuel and DraftKings as well, which will be a little bit more in depth. And hopefully, you know, that one will show you some things that you are taking advantage of, because if you're not, you've been playing from behind. But certainly watch so that you make sure that's not the case. But as always, best of luck, and keep on keeping on.